Well, welcome everybody. I'm here with Jen Sinkler with Progress Iowa and D'Artagnan Brown, a Hall of Fame musician. There's a new video that I'm calling a protest song and video that Progress Iowa is releasing. First, could you tell us about yourself? Let's start with Jen.
Hi, everybody. Happy that you are here, and thank you, Bob, for having us. I'm Jen Sinkler. I use she, her pronouns. I am the creative director with Progress Iowa and was lucky enough, excuse me, to facilitate this project with D'Artagnan Brown, who we were so lucky to have come on board to compose music. And like you said, exactly that. Uh, Teach two different sessions this past summer on the history of protest music, and then help facilitate a group of about 20 people to follow their own paths for what they wanted to write about. And this is the first one that is coming to fruition. And it is a song by Phil Montag, written by Phil Montag, that is critical of Representative Zach Nunn's voting record.
Okay, and I will embed that video. I'll embed the lyrics and some other information, people to thanks, et cetera, in this post. And who's the singer? Tell us who the singer is.
She goes by the name of Rachel Kinney, and she approached this song with she was thinking about all sorts of things, and D'Artagnan can second this, but she was thinking about this as sort of a Grimm's fairy tale. Like, here's a tale of a congressman's deeds, of how he ignored all the people's needs. And the way she says each line, I is our mutual friend Katie Siddle had called this a real toe tapper and said that D'Artagnan was not messing around. Everything from like the sounds and the music to the way that Rachel approached the vocals is just so sticky. I'm really excited to release it. So thanks for being one of the stars of the video. Michael Gass had called this our worldwide release. So thanks for facilitating it.
Well, happy to. Now, why challenge Zach Nunn's record?
And it's an education project that Progress Iowa has taken on. And we can say that Representative Nunn is sort of, I mean, we can speak to many specifics of his record, but he's also a proxy for, all of our House representatives vote, I would say mostly in lockstep. So what's true for Representative Nunn is also going to be true for Hinson and Miller Meeks and Feenstra, by and large, with the exception of, Feenstra and Nunn both being on the House Ag Committee. So there's an extra sort of accountability with some of what's happening environmentally that they're responsible for. Um, but they say, that they can say that they don't want to hurt Medicare or Social Security, but there is a long list of votes that say otherwise. They're voting to support corporate tax cheats and voting for sometimes up to 30% cuts in programs like Medicare and Social Security, with some of the continuing resolutions that would have like poison pills like that embedded in them. They would cut SNAP benefits and leave people in a lurch, according to the lyrics. True. And in the music video, which supports the lyrics and the music that D'Artagnan made, we have some running storylines, and there is a Snap storyline in in the song, and there's a receipt shown in it, and there's a minimum of $23. Like, if two adults could apply for SNAP benefits and only get $23 a month. And so you've got the opportunity cost of applying for, like, all jumping through all the hoops and all of the time that it takes to navigate that system and get $23 a month. And um, Representative Nunn voted to several times to increase hurdles for people to get into SNAP. And it's just that long, long list of like corporate tax cheats and protecting the wealthy, and like trying to get rid of the ability for the IRS to go after wealthy tax evaders. I mean, the Inflation Reduction Act funding through that act had already, I think, gotten $500 million in delinquent taxes from super wealthy individuals. And that's the kind of thing that Representative Nunn is voting against. And that's what he's trying to remove. He's part of the Republican Study Committee, which is a super conservative subgroup that, like, it's just a really austere situation where they're the ones voting for all of these cuts to programs that Iowans really need and use and value. I'm rambling a bit. There's a lot to say.
Okay, well, tell us a little bit about the video. The lyrics are are tough. I mean, they're honest. They're,
Mhm.
in the genre of, long history of protest songs. We'll get to that with D'Artagnan in a little bit. But the lyrics are tough, but the music and the actions of the actors are upbeat and even humorous. Tell us about that strategy.
This was such a fun collaboration because we had some ideas, like I said, of like different storylines. There's like a money man, and that's Matt Sinovic, by the way, our executive director, who's willing to dress up and go around town. And this is like the corporate buddy, and so he popped up over and over. And then Jeannie McCrae and Jerry Ullman like are in the video numerous times with like reaction shots to like different responses to what the lyrics are saying. And then Michael Gass, we spent a couple hours one day filming with props, different slogans that we think that Representative Nunn should take a look at that are pro-union, pro-worker, and addressing like his cuts to ACA, the ACA, or his attempted cuts to the ACA, and just I mean it just runs the gamut. Um, but yeah, it was such a fun and funny project to film. Other people would volunteer to do. There's a dance that's another like baseline that people have returned to, and I think I was keying off of Rachel Kinney's idea for like the arc of the story being. I mean, it starts out pretty serious, and then by the end, you sort of feel the energy turn, and you understand that like time's up, money man, like things are changing. And so by the end, it's this, the final line is it is really uplifting. It's about justice and truth, fair economy won. And all throughout that, sorry, one more thing, you've got D'Artagnan's music that has all these different layers that I've never gotten to watch a song come together before. And it was really like, I hope it's not the last time I get to see that because just at each additional layer like added something emotionally to the song where you like it really helped you travel through the music.
Well, I was interested to see if so many friends in the video and people that I know work hard to make Iowans' lives better. And so that was fun. And the dancing was fun. And and the music was really upbeat. I just really liked it. D'Artagnan, tell us about how you pulled that together. You're going to have to unmute, D'Artagnan.
Yeah, to have that opportunity to work with new life, so to speak. They're the people who are aware of issues that need to be addressed. We've been doing this for quite a while and seeing through many decades of struggles, having to keep your spirits up. That's really a big thing. And after a while, in a sense, people get sick and tired of being sick and tired. And then they have no choice but to rise up and to speak out. And we're in one of those periods right now. And I was very lucky to catch a wave, so to speak, that Jen and Progress Iowa and these people have, initiated. It goes back, I've got experience, both as a musician and a journalist. I worked for the Des Moines Register some years back and working in journalism of that era and under those rules where you had things like muckrakers really digging deeply. And we don't see that so much from that sector, but what we're seeing is the creatives, Progress Iowa, CCI, a lot of people reaching out and reconnecting with creativity and knowing that's the battery that's going to help us get through these crazy times. So making the music, we're in Iowa, right? So you got to make the music relatable. That's our job. It is a language after all. And so bringing it down to that sort of classic rock feel of the music. I love the drum parts on it. Um, Something because everybody, when you hear that, if you're around here, you can't ignore it. It's going to go into the soul because that's part of the soul of this place. And being able to communicate as directly and as deeply as we can, as quickly as possible, is the goal. So thanks to Jen for coming with the project and all the kids with the lyrics. I I was just lucky to channel their energy and make the music something that I hope we can all be, at least have some fun with while we're struggling.
Well, D'Artagnan, you and I are both old enough. We lived through the 60s.
Yeah.
And there's, long history of protest music. And do you see this as fitting in that tradition of protest music, protest songs?
How could it not?
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know, it just seems like we need more protest music. It feels like I want to hear more that energizes me to try to me help it help me be inspired to make a difference. And music and good lyrics, I mean, that's so powerful.
Well, it'll come from just like everything else. It'll actually come from outside of the system, so to speak. As we talk about music, we're now in, wow, a lot of 20 years and years into a system that is guided by another big corporate machine, Britney Spears. And uh, it carries the music that we're talking about, the sounds of healing, the sounds of sustenance like that to get you through deep times don't necessarily come from inside of that structure. And never, in fact, it almost never has. So that's what we're waiting for. And maybe, we got some seeds here that have been planted here locally. It's going to happen, Jen, I think it's kind of like any minute now. Any minute now, almost literally, too, because the election and everything that it portends really does make a difference to that. I know as an artist, I've seen rich times, I've seen times that aren't so rich, and I've seen good times, rich times here in Iowa and lean times here in Iowa. And we're definitely due, but only if people do the work, which is this one is interesting because it's really about opening hearts rather than the contention, which is so deep right now. It's it's a different kind of transformation that's I believe is getting ready to happen.
Well, and there's a language that it and a vernacular that it speaks out and resists in the sense that when we talk about the fire hose of money that goes to corporations, we call that incentives. And if we point even a little hose at regular folks, it's called welfare or socialism. And it's just that system is broken. And you point this out.
Broken, misdirected. I think it's still here again. We've been a part of. I wanted to be a journalist and a writer and spreading those kinds of messages ever since I was in high school. And I see, of course, it wasn't about the power of it. It was about, usually we get into this because you do have a need to tell the truth and to let the community know for its own good what is actually happening. Well, where's the fire? Well, that impulse, which is basic and it's a survival thing for a community. It's been co-opted because here now you can't just, I mean, well, you know what? Thanks to Substack. Yeah. Because with Substack, we writers can put our message out there unsullied for the first time almost ever, really, because all these other commercial platforms reach in and do something with our data that we did not intend. All of them do that almost. Substack is the only one I've seen that says, sorry, it's your stuff. You do it. That is so huge. 1996 was the first time I dealt with domains. And I've seen this game from the very beginning. And there were there were people who wanted artists and creators to be able to tell their story directly and get paid for it, exactly like Substack does now. This was in 86, 87, 88. Ted Nelson. Look it up, please. The great Ted Nelson, the Xanadu Project, where everyone publishing, you can publish, you can borrow, but the back end system said, if I'm going to borrow, then my account will be decremented. So the originator gets paid. It was a back end transparent system. So they know of how to do it, but in the middle now, there's been inserted those that want to use our data and use our creativity, but not necessarily compensate us in ways that we would like. That's why Substack is significant.
Yes. And then what it also allows us to do, we don't have any gatekeepers. It would have been hard to get this message out from Progress Iowa through traditional media. It would have been really hard. And so how people that believe in what is conveyed in the video and in the song, they can bring power and make change by sharing this and talking about it. And also, supporting Progress Iowa and other kinds of groups that are also moving forward by becoming members or showing up to lend a hand whenever.
Yes.
We should probably, bring it to a close, but I want to know, I have a couple of questions left. First, share what your Substacks are, both of you, please.
D'Artagnan.substack.com. Thanks to Julie Gamick and the Iowa Writers Collaborative, I became aware of this platform. And so while you're checking out D'Artagnan.substack.com, check out the Iowa Writers Collaborative and the universe of writing that is now there. It is such a rich, incredible resource of people who are wordsmiths, but also photographers, content creators, because Substack does do more than just words, but it's an incredible thing that shows the best of Iowa right now to me, outside of what you might call mainstream media.
And
Is there
Jen?
anything else I should say?
Yeah.
D'Artagnan, I love the way you use your Substack, the way all those layers are there too. The way you bend that form and include so many different types of media is really, really interesting and engaging. And Bob, your writing, being on Substack and being able, it's so nice to be able to share such truth coming from you all of the time. Yeah, both of yours are really important reads for me. Ours will be, and so I want to open this up to invite people to come in, to come into the process. Do you want to write music? Do you want to write poetry? We'll be having all sorts of we're going to open up to all sorts of creative endeavors coming up, and Rural Routes will be our Substack that, the any tie to rural Iowa will make that a match for content. And really the thesis is that all of Iowa is rural. There's not much of a connection. And Bob, we were talking about this before we started recording, but what's happening in rural Iowa, certainly, even if you live in a city, you're being impacted by it in terms of clean water, what you're breathing in the air, and all sorts of layers there. So that I want to open up to say, email me at jen@progressiowa.org if you want in on something or anything, whether it's however you want to participate. Open door.
Well, thank you. And I have a couple of other questions, but I want to go back to something I forgot to say. I want to say, D'Artagnan, when we get to the end of that video and I see your hands playing, I feel empowered, and the music heals me. And so I want to thank you for that. It's really good. And so, but before we close, I want to say, did I forget to ask anything that you want to say? I didn't know enough to ask, or whatever. Anything you want to add?
I think I should have said more about the 2017 GOP tax scam which is going to be coming down the pike because those corporate tax breaks are set to expire at the end of next year. And Representative Nunn, among others, is going to try to push to keep those corporate tax breaks in place, which is to the detriment of all sorts of other programs. So I just want to note that we're going to have some education and educational opportunities about that also coming up, and that we've already held a few different events that center on that, because I think that educating ourselves about what that really means rather than falling for a party line is going to be really important coming up.
Oh, okay, D'Artagnan.
Yeah, one last thing, I would be remiss if, since we're talking about music or uplifting people and trying to get things done in the community, I would have had nowhere to know how to hook up if it hadn't been for Iowa CCI about 12 years ago now. And what Sharon and the racial justice team and Lisa, Hugh, SB, and Adam and Katie B, what they have given to the community in ways that people will never actually see, but truly mean grassroots strength is really what sustained me long enough to be able to get to this point to help Jen and Progress Iowa. It's amazing. And Robert, your writing and all the others, it makes my day. It's like the old Sunday Register of the 60s. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Thank you both
Yep,
for your
that's
writing.
right. Stacowis Nobis, who's the executive director of Great Plains Action Society, hearing her talk about what art can do really shifted my mindset. I feel like she opened up some possibilities for me that I didn't even understand were true. Jaleisha Johnson is organizing through Say Poetry, and that she's also like helped me understand what young people can do with art. And then Our Future Iowa is another organization I've seen facilitate sort of community art as activism. And all of those ways people are moving is just going to help us move better together.
And
And anybody specific to thank? Oh, let me just say, yes, Iowa CCI is a great organization. And so people should consider joining Progress Iowa, Iowa CCI, and other organizations that align with your values. Anybody else, any individuals associated with this video that we should thank?
I would love to shout out the people who were featured in the video. They are absolute stars. It is amazing. Jeannie McRae and Jerry Ullman, I mentioned, Kimberly Madison, Michael Gass, Lori Vanlow, Phil Montag, who both helped with the video editing and wrote the lyrics and starred in the video. Bill Brock, D'Artagnan made the cameos, Michaela Mankel, Melissa Speed, Polly Antonelli, and Paige Jansen. So thanks to everybody who did this. I hope we get to do this again and again.
indeed.
And so people that are listening to this, people that read it, people that watch the video, it's easy to make a small contribution by joining, by participating, by actively making the world a better place. If you enjoyed the video, if you enjoyed D'Artagnan's music, if you enjoy the cause, just spread it, just share this and talk with people about it. Because we can make a difference. As individuals, we can make a difference, but we're very powerful when we get together like this. So thank you to both of you, and thank you to people reading and listening.
Thanks for
Bless you.
having us, Bob.
Absolutely.